If you're like me, you're exhausted by the fast-paced nature of media in the world today. Short-form content, instant gratification, and AI slop have all plagued our minds and attention spans over the past few years. You might even be finding it hard to watch this video right now and pay attention. I've been making a concerted effort to fight this degradation of my mind over the past year, and a huge help has been reading books. Good old-fashioned paperback books. I found I was disillusioned with reading from course materials in school back in the day, and I thought I hated books, but I found out, and it sounds really dumb to say it out loud because it's pretty common knowledge I think for most people, but I just needed to read something I was interested in. And if you're watching this video, if you're subscribed to this channel, or if this guy recommended to you, there's a good chance you are also a fan of MMA and combat sports in general. And there might be a chance that you're like me and you like the history of these kind of things. So I went out and did the work for you. I bought a bunch of books, I read a few, and I'm coming at you with 3 recommendations for some really good books you can buy on Amazon for like under $25 and have a good time reading it and try to train that attention span again. So the first one I'm going to talk about is called Four Kings by George Kimball. This is widely regarded as one of the best boxing books in history. It's about the Four Kings era of 80s boxing, welterweight specifically, and middleweight at the end. Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Tommy Hearns. All these guys were champions at the time. These guys fought each other, and they had some legendary fights. It was one of the golden ages of boxing. And this book is written by a journalist who lived in that time and, interviewed the camps, interviewed the fighters, interviewed the fans, other media members, and also documents the fights themselves, round by round, what happens. And it's really fun to read about it, read the context around the fight, and then go on YouTube and watch the fight, because all these fights are famous. You can watch them on YouTube. They've just been up there for years. So, yeah, I highly recommend you guys do that. It's very gratifying. It's a really good read and a really fun, way to engage with the golden age of the sport. The second one is a little bit more MMA focused. This is called A Fighter's Heart by Sam Sheridan. This book is really interesting because it's nonfiction. Both of these are nonfiction. It's about a journalist who goes around the world and goes to different martial arts gyms, some of the best gyms in the world. For example, he goes to the Fairtex gym in Thailand for Muay Thai. He goes to Pat Military Fighting Systems in Iowa for MMA. He goes to Virgil Hunter's boxing gym in Oakland, trains with Andre Ward there, Olympian and all-time boxing great. He goes to Tai Chi school. He even fights on a movie scene with Paul Walker. It's really interesting. He does a lot of really cool stuff, and it's fascinating to see this guy's journey in martial arts and what he comes down to in terms of summing up fighting, heart and fighting, and what he calls gameness, how game an opponent is, etc., etc. It's really interesting, and I highly recommend you guys read it. It's a very fun and immersive piece. It's interesting to see him go to some of these top gyms in the world and take what he can from them, and he talks about the difference in the cultures between the MMA gym and the boxing gym and things like that, and the kind of people that he meets in this world and different worlds of MMA and martial arts in general. So highly recommend that one. It's an awesome book for sure. The third one I'm going to recommend is called Fight of the Century by Patrick Myler. This is a very historical boxing book about 1930s boxing. In particular, it's about Joe Louis and Max Schmeling. If you guys aren't familiar, it's a really fascinating story where Joe Louis is the African-American heavyweight champion of the world and, a legend. And he's defending the title against the only man to have beaten him, Max Schmeling, who is a German fighter who's happened to be backed up by the party that was ruling Germany in the 30s and 40s. I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but those guys invited Max Schmeling over, and they championed for him. Even though Max Schmeling didn't agree with their politics, he happened to know a lot of Jewish people, and his manager was Jewish and stuff like that. And he ended up even saving the lives of some Jewish Germans during Kristallnacht. So it's a really fascinating story. And yeah, so Joe Louis is essentially defending America against this guy, and the Americans over here, even though racial tensions were at an all-time high, they backed up their boy because before anything else, he was an American, you know? So it's a fascinating book about the culture that boxing and martial arts can influence, and kind of like how these things can impact the world as a whole. You know, it kind of brings people together, sports in general, but it's really fascinating when it comes down to boxing, because it comes down to, you know, on the shoulders of two men at the end of the day, or two people. So it's a really interesting book. It's really fascinating, and, you know, I highly recommend it. If you guys aren't familiar with the story, it's a really interesting story. You know, Joe Louis got screwed by a lot of his managers and his training partners and trainers and stuff like that, and essentially he died with debt. You know, he also had some pretty bad spending habits, and he died with debt, and Max Schmeling actually paid for his funeral, you know, so it's really a beautiful story, and yeah, highly recommend it. You know, all these books, I can tell you, are not that hard to read. I mean, there's some words you're gonna have to Google here and there, but, you know, that's part of the game, and it makes you, you know, learn something, and they're also very captivating, you know, and on top of that, none of them are longer than like 250, 300 pages, so I'm not telling you, you know, read Shakespeare or, you know, some kind of Devil Wears Prada or something like that. You know, these are pretty digestible, very entertaining, and a great way to kind of train that attention span that we've been losing over the last few years. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And you guys have a lovely day. Peace out.